When we talk about destiny, we're talking about the origin, the very, 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 very beginning. You know, God said, before I formed thee, I knew thee. While you were still in your mother's womb, I was already operating in your life. When we're talking about destiny, your destiny, my destiny, we're talking about the very, 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 very beginning. The beginning of beginnings. In the very, very beginning, God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God who commanded light, and light obeyed him, and light had been since then, is the one who looked at you at your very, 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 very beginning and said, you are blessed. And said, you shall be fruitful. And said, you shall multiply. Let me stop there because we can't cover more than that in the little time we have. When God said, you shall be blessed, he was talking about blessings of all types, beginning from prosperity. You cannot call a beggar a blessed person. Oh, turn to your neighbor and make a decree concerning your own self and say, I will never beg. Come on, say it as if you mean it. You can't call a beggar a blessed person. So when he says you shall be blessed, automatically he's saying poverty is not your lot. And you see, when God says you shall be blessed, you need to understand that wealth is in categories. We've discussed this, I'm sure, in the past. There is what is called destitution. That's when somebody is so poor, he really hasn't got much left, if he has anything at all. Like in 1 Kings chapter 17, from verse 8 to 16. 1 Kings 17, 8 to 16. The widow of Zarephath said, I have only 1 meal left to prepare for me and my son to eat and die. In the name that's above every other name, you will never be destitute. Whether you believe it or not, there are people today in the world who woke up this morning and they don't know where the food for today will come from. There are people like that. I've met people like that. I remember years ago when I went to Egypt for the first time. My host took me to a place that he called the City of the Dead, where people build their tents on graveyards, on the graves. And they wake up early in the morning and they go around houses, going into their dustbin, collecting grains of rice that have been thrown away, bones that have been thrown away. And they collect from as many places as possible, bring back home, wash the rice properly, and boil. That's the food for today. So when they wake up in the morning, they don't know how much of the grain of rice they will be able to collect for the day. I decree again, in the name that's above every other name, you will not be destitute. And then, of course, there are those we call poor. Oh, somehow they get something to eat, but they are heavily in debt. In 2 Kings chapter 4, from verse 1 to 7, 2 Kings 4, 1 to 7, it was that case of a widow who had 2 sons, but the creditors have come to collect their money, and they said, you don't pay us by tomorrow. Since there's nothing of any value in your house other than your children, we will sell the children. That's poverty in the real sense of the word. As Jesus lives, that name that's above every other name, you will no longer be in the class of the poor. And then we can move on, talk about those who can call comfortable. We don't want to waste time on them. And then we move on to those we can call rich. And then we move on to those we can call wealthy. And then we move on to those we can call prosperous. And then we move on to those we can call flourishing. They're there in categories. You can pick them one by one. But you see, greatness begins from the wealthy. 2 Kings chapter 4 verse 8. 2 Kings chapter 4 verse 8 talks of the great woman of Shunem. She was called great. So by looking at her, we can have a rough idea of what greatness involves, because that's the least you are going to be. You are destined for greatness. This was a woman who could do anything she wanted to do. Wanted to feed a man of God, she had enough money. Wanted to build a house for a man of God, she had enough money. The man of God said, can I introduce you to the commander-in-chief? He said, no need. Greatness is when you get to that stage that you have all you need to do everything you want to do, particularly for God. And as God lives, before whom I stand, you are destined for greatness. A day will come, and listen to me carefully, because the message this morning is for someone in particular. A day will come when you will wake up on Monday and say, oh, senior driver? And he said, yes, sir. The Holy Ghost service this Friday is likely to be a special one. The driver said, yes, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. How many buses do you say we have? And so, as last count, sir, only 30 buses. Well, go and buy 10 more. Do you think I'm joking? Do I look like a joker to you? I decree in the name that's above every other name, a day will come very soon. Anything you want to do for God will be easy for you.